Dr. Brian Klaas, who helped run the successful campaign of the Minnesota Governor Mark Dayton, is now a fellow in comparative politics at the London School of Economics. So a lot of people are assuming that the House Republicans are going to throw sand in the wheels at some point, pick a fight with Trump over various policies. Is this one where they'll make a stand, do you think?
Well, they're in a bit of a catch-22 here because they need to give their president a political win, and this would be one of the things that they really want to give him a win on. On the other hand, many of the Republicans in Congress were elected on the mandate of reducing debt, and so the wall is going to be really expensive. Trump talked about a couple $1 billion on the campaign trail, but most independent estimates suggest $14–15 billion, and that's before you even get into the legal disputes of people who own property on the border and the protracted battles that will surround that. So not to mention the repair costs and the upkeep. So I think there's a lot of deficit hawks that will be questioning whether it's the best use of money. I think what's most likely to happen is that something that looks like a wall for part of the border will be built, and there will be a lot of fencing for the rest.
Right. And Greg just now went through some of the possible options, for example, taxing remittances from the US back to Mexico. Would that raise anywhere near enough money?
It depends on the negotiations. I think that this, again, is something where Trump operates in a way where he needs to claim victories. So he's going to try to strike a deal that allows him to claim that Mexico paid for the wall. I don't think there's any way that Mexico is going to directly pay tens of billions of dollars for U.S. infrastructure. That's just simply not going to happen. But he's going to try to create some sort of tariff or trade deal that allows him to claim that he has now had Mexico reimburse us. In the short term, though, this wall won't be built in months. There's no way around it. The land on the border is not owned exclusively by the U.S. government, and there's going to be legal fights. You can't just sort of confiscate land and then build a wall and have it be ready in 6 months. It's just not. It's a pure fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, John McCain, one of those critical today, he's just said you're going to have to put drones, observation towers and other things in there as well. Presumably you would.
Exactly, and that's why there's smarter ways to worry about border security. With digital technology, you can monitor people crossing this part of a very remote area in the United States. So the question is he going to play politics, and because he said it would be a wall, will spend billions and billions of dollars on something that could be achieved much cheaper?
Yeah, the Mexican president's in town next week. They're going to have some interesting conversations, aren't they?
I think it will be a very awkward conversation. Trump has a lot of leverage over Mexico, but Mexico is not just going to go along with this. Mexico is going to fight back because, as Trump rightly pointed out, he has to push back. I mean, politically in his own domestic territory, he can't say, yeah, we're just going to use our tax dollars to build this wall to keep Mexicans out of America. It just doesn't make sense politically for him. So as a result of that, I think it's going to be a very contentious conversation and one that's likely to not go Trump's way initially.
Now, the other thing that's happened today is that Trump said he wants an investigation into voter fraud. He's convinced this is why he lost the popular vote to Hillary Clinton. Is there much evidence for that?
There's no evidence for it, and everyone who's looked for evidence, including the U.S. government under George W. Bush, found no evidence. There was a comprehensive study done in 2014 that found 31 documented cases of voter fraud out of 1 billion ballots over about 15 years. It's a very small problem because you go to jail if you're found to be guilty, so a lot of people don't roll the dice. And the strange thing about this is he's calling into question the legitimacy of the election that he won. So if there were millions of people voting, we don't know how they voted, and he only won by 80,000 votes in 3 swing states, so it calls into question whether his victory was legitimate. It's a very strange move.